My name is Ernesto Quintero. I'm a filmmaker. I've been producing television and documentary shows mainly for about 20 years now. I'm just in that phase where I'm transitioning to narrative filmmaking. I have a production company. It's called Higher Ground Entertainment, and the present film that's traveling to the film festival circuit is A Sacred Journey, and it's a documentary, a personal story about my family. Sacred Journey, I started documenting this about 6 years ago. I took it on as a full-on project where I said, okay, let's do this documentary. And that's when we, started doing the interviews and a lot of the pickup shots, because I had been documenting my brother's journey, his trajectory with ALS for about 15 years now. He was diagnosed 15 years ago, and that's when I started documenting his story. But prior to that, 5 years prior to that, I was already documenting part of the family story because he also has a son that's ill. So you see footage of all the way back 20 years ago of footage that I shot, and footage that my mom shot of us when we were kids. So we have 60 millimeter footage, and there's a lot of footage. There's many different formats make up the story. And no, I think the hardest part, it wasn't that. I guess the challenge was that it wasn't like a project that somebody funded. Luckily, I got funding throughout the time I was producing it. I picked up some sponsorship, and we had some fundraisers, and I had help. But had I had a budget from the beginning, I would have saved a lot of time, because it's like 150 tapes you have to digitize and go through and look through the right nuggets of story, footage of my brother, finding those little nuggets when we were kids that are relevant to the story. So it probably took me, this is my 6th year. It took about 6 years to complete the story. From when I begun, the first moment that I said, let me see what I have. I'd say it was about 6 years to shoot and edit the film. I'll tell you what the challenge was more than anything. The challenge was separating the emotional from the creative and technical. So every time I had to see certain scenes of my brother going through what he was going through, like losing his mobility or breaking down because he wanted to live longer, what have you, as the editor and director, here I am editing this and watching it over and over. That was heart-wrenching. That was tough. Yeah, I almost had to switch off that emotional side of me, which was hard. Hey, that's funny. The doctor said that most people say to me, "This is a project you worked on when at the end of your career," and but it was something that was in front of me. I had just came off a 6-month tour. I was the camera operator for J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, on her first ever world tour all over the world. I went to 40 countries in 4 months with her, and when I was on that tour, I missed my little documentary project back home. And I really found the value of my personal story, because I don't know if you know this, but there's 68 million caregivers in this country. Like we're all taking care of somebody, or at some point we will take care of somebody, or at some point somebody will take care of us.
Yes.
So the idea of caregiving is in every family. But as Latinos, we don't call ourselves caregivers. We just take care of our grandma or our mom. Right? We don't say we're caregivers. So I'm using my film to raise awareness around that and to try to pass legislation that will help the caregiver. Because it's factual that 60% of caregivers die before the person they take care of. No, I was just thinking of, I guess I was, somehow as filmmakers, we aspire to make it to Hollywood, and I don't know, I mean, working with J-Lo was kind of one of those projects. And it just felt like I've always been an independent producer. And I've also produced for television, so I understand what that is. You're under certain guidelines, and you're reporting to executives in charge. But I just miss the freedom to do whatever I want creatively on my own project and not have to report to people. Full on, let me tell this story as vulnerable as I can be and with no limitations. That is what I miss most.
And I watched the documentary trailer a couple of times, just so I could understand. It was really touching, too. Like just by the trailer itself, I definitely want to see the film. If I could just ask a personal question that could maybe help others, but I noticed that you yourself was into drugs first, correct?
Sure, yes.
Okay. And what helped you change your life from being on drugs, and what was the challenges for you?
So prior to my brother being diagnosed, I was in and out of rehab for 6 years. I was what you call a chronic relapser.
Mm-hmm.
And my choice of drugs was crack cocaine. And I had a really deadly addiction. I'm overdosing like on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt that I had no hope. And I really felt that God had abandoned me. Mm-hmm. And when my brother was diagnosed, I went to visit him a few months after, and I was still on drugs. But when I saw him and I saw that the illness had affected him so fast, I was in shock, and I left his house quickly, and I went to go buy more drugs, and I went home to use some more. Mm-hmm. And the third night of this using, I thought of him, and I said to God, I said, look, you don't care to help me, but if you help me so I can help my brother, I promise you that I will sober up. It was I was kind of playing with my words to God.
Yeah.
But just seeing my brother in his condition really forced me to take a look at myself and really understand that he would do anything to live, but here I was killing myself. Mm-hmm. And that was the deciding moment where I just said, this is it. I have to do something because my brother needs me. And I became a servant to him, started taking care of him. And before you know it, I realized, wow, I'm sober. Mm-hmm. I'm living a different life now. So you can say that his illness saved my life.
There's a lot of people that can relate to you. And you did show hope to, that, okay, we lived a hard life of drugs, and then you changed your life, and look at where you are today.
Sure. I've learned sometimes we're going to fall, and that's okay, right? It's what we do with that fall, because you can learn a lot from your falls. And I feel like I'm a testimony of that. I fell hard, but I got up, and now I'm doing something with my life. And my brother's story through my work is inspiring people and changing people's lives. And so that's a beautiful thing, to be able to produce something that's going to affect others. It's nice. It's rewarding.